Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. So this is my annual predictions video. Thanks for waiting. I have been so busy. As probably most of you know, I got married, we went on a honeymoon, we moved to a new city, and then we started celebrating the holidays together for the first time as a married couple. So we've just been enjoying that and going here, there, and everywhere, just enjoying everything that the city has to offer. So thank you for your patience. I'm also on Andre's channel if you want to check out my collaboration with Andre. And my collaboration with Adam is here on this channel. And members, something special for you this month and next month. So Adam from Stargazing Astrology is going to be teaching on Monday the 29th, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, a special class about finding your sun, moon, and Venus signs. And I will give you the link where you can look it up before the class so you can know what they are and so what it means and all of that. And then February, he is going to teach us about the Chinese zodiac. Really interesting. I mean, because he was really getting into like what each one means of the 12 signs, even like your birth time and how it correlates with that. So like I'm a dragon, but because of my birth time, that's actually a rat and how that impacts me. It's fascinating. And I also wanted to show you something that I got sent that's called a birthday candle. And I agreed to show it to all of you because you get a 10% discount. I will put the discount code down below. But this is something, and you guys know I don't really show very many products. Okay, so you can see that it's personalized to me. It's my birthday, January 30th. So that's coming up soon. I am indeed an Aquarius. And it talks about, like my strengths, my weaknesses. My tarot card would be the Empress, ruling planet Uranus. My number would be 3. And it has like all this information on the back. And you can really smell the lavender and sage. It smells beautiful. I have to say, when Michael saw this, my husband Michael, when he saw this candle, he was like, oh, this is something that I definitely would buy you. There we go. So I'm just lighting it for the first time, keeping it here. And at the end of the video, I wanted to show you these gorgeous cards that one of my members sent me that she has made. It's called the Healing Body Cards by Heather M. Grant. I will show you those at the end of the video where we would normally do the 3-card pull, okay? So without further ado, let's get into my predictions. So I've been working with my guides to just sort of get like a download of information, if you will. And for those of you that are members, you know that the Ra Collective that I channel and one of the angels that I channeled was giving a lot of information for the coming year. So I really think that this is going to be a year of like a spiritual awakening worldwide. Like our consciousness is rising. So I know a lot of you are fearful of the rise of fascism around the country, including ours here in the US, with the possibility of 45 being on the ballot and getting in. But I really don't see that happening. I think we're sort of at this tipping point as a civilization, okay? As a global citizen. Okay, not because I'm not talking just about the US here, that democracy really wins out in a big way. Okay, I see people like Putin. I see him going. I think he will be replaced. And I do believe that Russia is going to have somebody that is far more moderate, that is going to be much more willing to play ball with the rest of the world and put Russia back onto the world stage in a positive way. I think China, they're going to have an uprising. And I also suspect Turkey with Erdogan. I do think that's going to change. As for 45 being on the ballot, I do believe he is going to be on the ballot. However, I do not believe it's going to make a difference. I do see Biden winning. I also see Nikki Haley really hanging in there. I think Ron DeSantis is on his way out, but Nikki Haley, I wouldn't be surprised if 45 either makes her his running mate or she gets onto the ballot also. Something with that. So I feel like, I don't feel like she's just going to up and go away. Okay, so I do see like she is staying around. So the Ra talks a lot about catalysts, right? So 2024 is going to have plenty of catalysts. So we do go to fourth density or the fifth dimension, but we're heading to more peaceful times. So catalysts are challenges, right? It's times of tumult, if you will. So there's going to be those moments, but it's because it's steering us in the right direction. And so we're going to have some challenges here and there, but I think overall things are going to get better and better. One of the challenges that I do see us having as a planet is more of this climate change. I do see more earthquakes, volcano eruptions. I do get pulled, towards California, Hawaii, Southeast Asia, going up all the way up to like China and going all the way down towards Australia. I think there's going to be some issues. Also with the Middle East, I'm seeing some earthquakes. I think we're going to have more extreme weather. So I think that's something that's, going to be one of our bigger challenges. I also think for a lot of Western countries, we're going to see people having less babies and having less marriages. People still dating, residing together. I think people are going to be opting for more pets. And I think we're going to start to get this shift because as we go towards fourth density, well, children create karma, and, karma ties you to a planet that, most of us aren't going back to, right? Because, most of us, I think, came down as light workers. Chances are, if you're watching me, you're a wanderer, you're a light worker, you came down to make the planet a better place. You don't need to come back here in that case. So I do see people having less and less children. I think it'll start first in the Western countries, but then I think it kind of spreads in years to come to the other countries. Cryptocurrency. I don't think it's going to go away right away, but I do think at some point later in the year, we're going to start hearing about something else, something that's going to replace it. I also, unfortunately, one of the catalysts I do see is that we are going to have more mass shootings. And I think the reason for that is because lawmakers still haven't gotten the message that we need to make changes. So I do think that there's going to be stricter gun laws, and I do have a lot of hope and faith that red flag law is going to come into being where, if you see someone that, does own a gun that has mental illness or, they're abusing a substance or something, they're making threats, that you can report it and something will actually get done for real. I do see 45 having a health crisis this year, a significant one. I know sometimes you guys ask me if I see him fleeing. I don't. There's too many eyes on him. He may want to. I think he does want to. Don't get me wrong. I think he very much wants to. He does want to go someplace else. But I simply do not see it happening. It's just not practical. There's too many eyes on him. But I think the more likely scenario is that he does end up hospitalized. I do think that there's going to be more charges and more indictments for 45. Because I think as they're going through these court cases that we currently have, that it's like a domino effect. They find one thing and then look, oh, here's another thing, so as they dig through all of this and people start testifying, everything just unravels for him. I also think, I'll call it the virus. The virus will continue, but I feel like it's safe to say that it's reached the endemic stage, not pandemic, and it'll continue to mutate. But I think for the time being, for 2024, I don't see a major, like lockdown type situation for us here in the US. I don't see that. But I do see like a rise in respiratory illnesses, flus, colds, that sort of thing. And so I think what you might see is some people just voluntarily wearing masks, not because of the virus, but because of everything else that's going around. Virtual reality. So I know a lot of you have asked me about virtual reality and AI. So virtual reality, I do think they're going to be using it more and more in the medical field. I think it's going to be used for both, like, say, training surgeons, okay? Training doctors to do what they need to do, but also treating patients that have sleep issues and mental illnesses. I still do not see us having some sort of depression or full-blown recession or anything like that. I do think the economy is going to keep getting better and better. A lot of you have asked me about the housing market, and I don't think anything's going to change for the next few months, profoundly change, but I do think the interest rates will start to come down, but I feel like that's a bit of a ways off. So, because like I'm listening to my guides talk to me about, me buying a house, and they're saying, hold your horses. So it'll happen, but I would lean a bit closer to 2025 on that one. I also see more LGBTQ plus laws coming into effect. Now, the downside of that piece of information is that means, because we're a reactive society in general, right? That it means that something negative is going to happen, right? So, please, if you are part of that community, please be careful, because when we see stricter laws, come in place to protect somebody, it's because something happened, right? We are reactive in that way. But the good of it that will come out is that those folks will have better protection. Some of you have asked me about the Pope. I feel like the Pope that we have right now is in a lot of pain. I think it's a real challenge for him to make it through the day. I don't think he's feeling very well. And so I do see him stepping down and being replaced in 2024. I do think that Clarence Thomas, at the very least, out of the Supreme Court justices, will be leaving. If another one leaves, I wouldn't be surprised. But I feel comfortable saying I do believe Clarence Thomas is going to step down. I think the evidence is starting to mount up, and with his wife and all that, I think it's just 2024 will be the time. So some of you asked me about the royal family, and I usually kind of steer clear of that because everyone has like such different opinions. Love them, hate them, I don't know. The only thing that I can say I really do get is that I think King Charles is stepping down or away, and once again, not right away, not in the first part of the year or anything, but I sort of feel like his energy dissipates. Like, I just sort of feel like he's going. Now, if it doesn't happen in 2024, I think it'll happen in 2025, okay? But I do feel like his energy is leaving, and it may not be anything horrible. Just maybe he just doesn't want this responsibility anymore. He wants to switch roles or something, but I do feel like his energy is going from that position as king. I also see more balance in politics and human and animal rights, and the laws that we have to protect our planet. So I do see more laws, more regulations coming in to protect our air, water, soil, and all types of animals, wildlife, farmed animals, pets, and human rights. Like I said, LGBTQ+, I see a lot of that coming in. And a lot more with these gun laws. And I know I keep going back to that, but I just feel like, I think we've had enough, right? Something has to give, something has to change. So I do see that changing. I do see that AI is going to grow. So I did mention virtual reality, but also artificial intelligence. So I do see it growing, but here's the thing. I'm not fearful because I do feel like laws and technology will be put in place to keep it in check. I do think, on the downside of AI, I think we are going to start seeing more AI generated artistic endeavors, artwork, music, movies, that sort of thing. So I don't love that concept of it. I also think modeling even, a lot of it's going to, be replaced with AI. But I think that there'll be enough balance. I really do. And I think a lot of good is going to come out of AI, but we're going to have to go through this period of just growing pains that, is going to just be kind of tough, I think. Because the arts are near and dear to my heart, and that's the one downside. But I also think we're going to use AI for good things too. And once again, going back to the medical field, assisting doctors and surgeons. Some of you did ask me about the Middle East and all of that. Okay, so with Israel, Palestine, it's a terrible situation, obviously. I don't think it's going to end this month or next, but I do see it ending. And I do think we're going to end up with that two-state solution that they keep talking about. For my Canadians, Justin Trudeau, I think he is going to be on his way out, in whatever your next election cycle is. And I think they're going to become more conservative. I hope I'm wrong on this, but I think that there is enough Canadians that just don't understand what we went through as Americans with 45. And they almost fantasize about this. It just, yeah. And Iraq and Iran, sort of doing their thing, escalating things, but I don't see it being this big, long, prolonged thing again. I do see that there's going to be some kind of escalation there in the Middle East, but I don't feel like it's something that we need to be overly worried about in terms of this being some big, huge war either. And if you saw in my video with Adam, we were both talking about Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. I don't see him staying. I really don't. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like, I don't know if either he gets ousted or nature takes its course and, Democrats gain control again. But I do feel, and then I remember thinking this when I was watching, the politicians there, electing him, and I was watching the votes on TV, and I remember thinking, Hakeem Jeffries is going to be Speaker of the House before we know it. And so I still hold on to that. I remember thinking that. It was actually before I even got married. And by the way, yes, I do see the Democrats having control of, Congress, the Senate. And I do see a lot of Republicans, because 45 set that dangerous precedent of challenging election results. I do believe we're going to see some of these Republican congressmen and senators challenging their results. I don't think that's a phase that we're done with quite yet. But I also get the sense that with the next election in 2028, like that's not going to really be a thing either. So I feel like it's going to be squashed. But at the same time, when I go into that energy, I feel like they're really going to fight election results if they don't win. Disney popped up. And I've had this feeling now for quite some time, I would say a good year or so, that they're really going to have to rethink how they do things. And I really don't see them being as profitable as they once were. I also see Pepsi having some issues. And I know Pepsi is a big company. They own like Lay's potato chips and all that. So I see them both having some financial type issues. I also see a lot of airlines having financial issues. And so I would say a theme for 2024 is that companies keep merging. So I think you're going to see airlines merging. I think you're going to see all these like streaming apps and movie production companies, they start merging, stores start merging. And I think, and restaurants, chain restaurants too. I think there's going to be a lot of merging. And I think a lot of the ones that choose not to merge will actually simply like declare bankruptcy and close up shop, so to speak. A lot of you asked me too about disclosure. So learning more about extraterrestrials. Yeah. So here's the thing. I think we're going to be learning more about life on other planets. And I think it's going to be twofold. One, I think extraterrestrials will do like they do with me, right? Like I channel the Rock Collective. Like they'll speak to individuals. But it's to get us ready for the benevolent, loving ETs to actually come down and help us as a people. And so I think the groundwork is being laid for that. And I think there's going to be a lot more UFO sightings for sure. I think weight loss injections are going to be easier and easier to get. I think it's going to be more mainstream. I don't see that easing up. I also really feel like Mitch McConnell is going in 2024. I feel like Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, the two of them, and I think, it has something to do with, like this old way of doing things, this old way of seeing things, these career politicians that are really just in it for themselves. But I do think Mitch McConnell is going to actually get sick. I don't think he's well. I think you're going to see more and more red states, not necessarily turn blue, but purple. So I think that's also going to be another theme that we see, places that you may not expect. But I do think a lot more of these states that have been hardcore red states, that they do change. Some of you asked me about this too. Jared Kushner. Because he's been kind of like lying low, right? We haven't been hearing too much about him. And I think it's because he knows he's going to be indicted. And I think it's coming sooner than later. And like I said, as they uncover more and more with 45, those closest to him get exposed with their wrongdoings. Okay. Something that came up in my channeling sessions from last month with members is that there's going to be breakthroughs, with dementia, with cancer, diabetes, so I've said this before and I still stand by this. I do think we do know how to prevent and cure a lot of things, but I do think it's a big business and it gets suppressed. Do I have anything else for you? I know that was a lot, right? Oh, yes. Netanyahu. The Prime Minister of Israel. I do see his career ending. I do feel like he is going to be ousted. Sidney Powell, he was the federal prosecutor there, indicted for undermining the election process in Georgia. I think he is going to be having bigger and more issues. There's going to be more court dates, more things that we find out, more things that we learn. I think the big case with 45 that's going to emerge that we really learn a lot from is going to be the one with Jack Smith, and missing that top secret binder. Now they have other copies of it, right? So it's not like it's earth shattering, I guess, in one sense. But on the other hand, who has it? Where did it go? And I think what this binder contains has to do with Russian interference with our elections. So I think, Jack Smith is going to be uncovering more and more new information. And I think this is how, like Jared Kushner comes into it. I do think Ivanka's going to have, her day in court too, his sons. I think it's going to be, if your last name is Trump, I think it's going to be a really bad year for you. Some of you asked me about Melania too. I don't feel their energies are even, 45 and Melania's energies are even like in the same building, never mind room. So I feel like she has pretty much just left. And she's distancing herself from him, and apparently they didn't spend the holidays, Christmas, New Year's together. And so I think that's going to be a theme where he will parade her out at times, right? I mean, I'm sure that was one crazy prenup that she signed. But for all intents and purposes, they're not really together. So I really feel like there is this breaking apart of the two of them. I feel like the Republican Party is really dividing itself. You have like the MAGA people versus the more traditional Republicans, and it really just kind of splinters and fractures it. And I think 2024 is a time where, because we are heading towards ascension, right? We talk about this a lot in membership with, fourth density, that this is the year that people are going to have to choose between light and dark, right? That polarity of positivity or negativity, that duality that we have in third density, people are going to choose one or the other. Either you're going to choose love and light and head up and, go to fourth density, evolve and ascend, or you're going to choose the darkness and then you'll have to go and do third density at some other planet at some other point. And I believe I said this already, but just in case, I do see Biden winning. And I also think he has a lot of information on 45. And I think that's something he's kind of keeping close to him. He has a lot of information on him. And I think he's barely going to even address him. Okay. And like I said too, I think 45 is going to have a lot of health challenges. I also think Ron DeSantis is pretty much done with running for the presidency. I think that ship sailed. I think he had a moment. But I think also too, I think most Floridians aren't real happy with him, and we've all been kind of watching that and seeing that. And so, I think that moment is gone. But I do feel like Nikki Haley is emerging and coming forward. So I don't see her going anywhere, not anytime soon. So I don't know if 45 would make her his running mate, or if somehow she just gets herself on the ballot, or if there's a lot of talk with the RNC, because I mean, the RNC said a long time ago, they do not want 45 to be the candidate. And so I do think she will get some support because of that. Some of you asked me if I saw like NATO countries invading Russia. I do not. I do not see that. And then let's see. Okay, so I think I got it all. I might make another video too, because I know that there's some things that I missed, but I figured, yeah, this is a good half hour to go there and to do this. So I'll finish up with showing you these great cards. This is by Heather M. Grant. You can get it right on Amazon. And she is one of my members. And they're called Healing Body cards. And so, you know, I have talked about this in the past. One of the ways you can tell if a deck of, say, tarot cards, oracle cards, anything like that is legit, they usually have booklets, okay? And hers is beautiful, and the cards are beautiful. And so she talks about the body, you know, not just being the physical body, but also the biofield. So I picked the third eye chakra card. And what I'd like you to do, okay, because your third eye is right here, is just start to focus on it a little bit. I'm trying to get it out of the light there. And there's affirmations here. So the affirmation for this one is, I have inner vision and knowing. I have inner vision and knowing. And sometimes when we really start to concentrate on our third eye, we'll get that like little tingle. So think about, you know, just it opening up and just seeing that beautiful indigo light coming out, you know, circling, spiraling clockwise, coming right out front to back. And, you know, helping you to be more, you know, clairvoyant, more psychic, more intuitive. But, you know, there's lots of just gorgeous cards here. So I just wanted to, you know, share this with you and, you know, and wish Heather the best with, you know, her cards here. I love them. She is a doctor and a Reiki master. So, all right, everybody, please like, subscribe, comment. If you want a reading, go to dianeaquarius.com. Check out membership. There's hundreds of videos on demand teaching you everything from meditation, opening your chakras, working with angels, spirit guides, you name it. If it's anything that's sort of esoteric, we have a video on that. So, all right, everybody, have a beautiful evening. Bye.